You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
So yeah, you were just saying it's been quite a while since you were last on. It must have been before the season. I don't think you've been on since the Dolphins let things slip, to put it mildly.
Yeah, it's been, that would be correct. My son was born on the day we played the Raiders. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I was on before that. So it's been a long time.
Yeah. And how's I know we spoke off air, but how's father treating you?
It's been great. Like I just said, it's awesome and exhausting. It's great, man. It's priceless watching the games with your boy. Feels great. It's just unfortunate that this is what he has to experience off the bat. But
so hold on, you're already subjecting him to all these Dolphins losses. Like that's mean, man. That's cool.
It's a religion, Kadeem. It's a religion, my friend. It is not an option in this house. So yeah, he's gonna learn early, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just my son just about likes the English version of football. And as a Man United fan, you know, United playing red. My son loves the color blue, so wants to support a blue team. So I'm kind of hoping that if I get him into American football and kind of like, well, the Dolphins kind of wear blue, we should be okay. But yeah, I think having your son enjoy this torrid time is very, very harsh. But like you said, it's a religion. You don't get to choose the teams you support. It's kind of foisted upon you. And how have you found the past? What was 7 weeks into the season now with the Dolphins? How's it been for you?
Roller coaster, man. I mean, it's that simple. It's expectations were high, as we all, and you know what? To be honest with you, I wasn't all in on we're going to compete with the Chiefs this year. What I loved was our soft schedule. So when I was throwing out win totals, I was basing it off of Jacksonville, Atlanta, Jets twice, Houston. That's 5 games that should be gimmies, especially the way we played last year. So that's why I really felt overly confident going into this year. You know, I knew we kind of had some holes. There was question marks. We all were waiting to see what the offensive line was going to look like. We wanted to see what this wide receiver core was going to look like, and especially Tua. You know, he was like the big question mark. So there was question marks going in, but like I said, it really was the schedule for me that gave me that confidence, and it's been terribly disappointing. Terribly disappointing. It started off strong. I remember I texted Charlie after the first game, something. It was a text. I was like, you know, some guy jumping out of bed, you know, dancing or whatever, feeling good the next morning, you know. And it wasn't necessarily how good we looked. It was, we went into New England, we won. You know what I mean? And we just haven't done that in so long. And it just felt good to say, you know what? It wasn't pretty, but we're at a point now. They don't own us. So that's what just felt really, really good about it. And then it just went downhill from there. I didn't think we were going to beat Buffalo, especially when they lost against Pittsburgh. I knew that was a trap game. They were going to be fired up. So I wasn't shocked, but the past 2 weeks have been brutal. I didn't care if Isaiah Ford and some guy that was delivering packages for UPS came off the street and was the wideouts against Jacksonville. I was like, I don't care. We got to win this game. This is a must-win game. And yeah, I mean, I'm just repeating all the stuff I know you guys already covered. But and then Atlanta, I was all in. I just thought it was going to be a W. I was confident, and now we're here where we're pointing fingers. It's easy to pick on people. It's easy to criticize, to second guess. That's what we get to do as fans. When it's good times, we praise everyone. When it's bad times, we throw everyone under the bus. And the bus is rolling, and it's chopping heads off right now. So, yeah, that's why I'm here, man. We're going to break some stuff down. And, I got some things for you, man. Like you and I, Kadeem, we're very similar. I love your takes. I am negative at heart, as you are. But there's one thing we definitely disagree on, and it's the biggest topic, and it's Tua. So we can dive into that when you're ready, or we can start off on a more positive note, because I do have some positive things to say. It's not all negative. We don't have to go to be a negative town this entire episode.
It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that not goes only across the pond, but across the world. I'm Kadeem Simmons. Still no Charlie Touche. He is recovering from pneumonia, but he's doing well. Should be back, I want to say in a few days, if not a week or so. I spoke to him. He's talking again, just recovering from pneumonia. So as you can see, we have ShareRide Steve with me. First time ShareRide Steve has been on a podcast in about a good few months. It's let's start with the positive, I guess. Where would you like to start? Positive news.
I like to say I've developed a man crush, and I had a good feeling before the year even started. Our boy Holland. I am crazy about this guy. I love what he's doing. I know right now he's like one step off, and he's not even playing poorly. He got beat that one time deep when Howard gave the wide receiver to him in the middle, and he got smoked. It's going to happen. I mean, Ed Reed got beat. It happens to the best.
Yeah,
once or twice, for sure. So, besides that, I just love how he hits, man. He's got the speed, and that first game, even with Smith, I mean, he's not just hitting people; he's sending them flying in the air, and they're landing on not their feet. You know what I mean? They're being rocked, and I love it.
He had a penalty against Jacksonville, which kind of led to their opening touchdown, where he can't again he does this thing where the quarterback throws the ball, the receiver had their back to him basically, and he hits them hard in the back, and he done that exact same thing, but where the receiver was kind of crouching down, hit him in the helmet, they gave the penalty, and we were just like, there's nothing he can do about that. But like you said, he is a hard hitter, and I just think the interceptions are about to start coming. Like you said, he's one step off, and once he gets that one step, game changer, absolute game changer.
Yeah, there's no doubt. That was why we shipped Fitzpatrick off, or one of the reasons was because he wouldn't go in the box and hit. Flores wanted him to really play the linebacker role a little bit, be just this hybrid player, and I don't know, Fitz just didn't, and rightfully so. Maybe he isn't really that guy. That's fine, but we moved on. I just love Holland. I just feel like there's no regrets right now thinking about Fitz. I couldn't be happier with the start he's had, especially in this defense. We know it's not an easy defense to get going right away. They got them thinking a lot, which I think we'll get into, which is obviously not working at the moment. Maybe we should be thinking less, but there's some bright spots. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's not a lot. It's not a lot at all, but it hasn't been a total disaster. What's a guy that you've been, maybe we don't talk about, maybe in the mainstream, that you've noticed surprised you, has over delivered?
It's I think everyone talks about Waddle, everyone talks about Gesicki. They're the guys that's they're doing well. I think one person who I'm glad is doing well, because he was labeled as a bust, another first round bust the Dolphins missed out on, but it's Christian Wilkins. The guy's showing up play after play. He's getting sacks, he's getting quarterback hurries, and he's so infectious. I think every single episode since the Jags game, I've brag, that I've spoken to a few Dolphins. And again, Walken's one of those guys where it's just like, you can tell that no matter how bad the Dolphins are doing, he's happy because one, he loves playing in the NFL, but two, it's like nothing can really get him down. And obviously, he's hurting about the way the Dolphins are playing at the moment. But like, he just makes you smile. It's like he's one of those guys who I really, really, really hope the Dolphins extend him. The same way I really, really, really hope they extend, Big Mike. I think Wilkins is the kind of person who, over the last few weeks, with the Dolphins playing so bad and the defense playing the way they have been, more and more people have kind of come around to saying, okay, Wilkins is worthy of that first round talent, which is mental because, a couple of weeks ago he was on the bust list, and a few plays later it's like, okay, no, they got it right. So yeah, I think Wilkins is the guy for me who should be getting a lot more praise in a defense which, like you said, has been awful. Let's just put it that way.
That was my pick. That was my second pick for sure. He's doing what players are supposed to do. They get better, they progress, and he is. And it hasn't been giant steps, but there's no doubt he's going in the right direction. I would like a little more splash plays. That would be my knock on him. I'd like him to just make some game-changing plays. He's had a couple splash plays here and there this year. That strip sack, but it'd be nice to see more. But yes, he's definitely been a solid contributor thus far this year.
Yeah. You got any more positives, or is it negative time?
Yeah, it's negative time, man. I could gloss over a couple, but it's not worth glossing over. So, thank you for having me. I love being on, and there's been. I'm gonna come from a different perspective. I am mostly everyone that's been on this podcast has been very pro Tua, complete believer. I know, but I would just want to preface where I'm going with this. I had my doubts about Tua coming out, but I know the kid can play. My number one concern was injury, and it wasn't even necessarily a hip, but he had nagging injuries in Alabama, and it's something that I just didn't want to really bring up too much. You kind of don't want to jinx it and just put bad vibes in the air. So I was just like, okay, hey, he's getting healthier. Let's we don't have to really talk about that.
Yeah.
So that was my concern, but it's not all Tua's fault, and I hate everyone throwing Tua under the bus. It's not. There's no doubt. We can go down the line of players that are regressing, not showing up, can't get on the field, which that's been a huge problem, especially on the offensive side. But I'm going to break it down more about Tua. And it's not just the guy can spin the ball. He can throw it. People say he can't throw it. No, he can throw it. He just, to me, at this point, is – where does he rank in the league, and where do I see him ultimately maybe being? Now, if you were to make a list of your top 3, top 5 quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks, Tua, now beginning here, Chris Sims putting him at 32, 33, like not even in the top 32 that's ridiculous. But I don't think his ceiling is that high as I want it to be. That's my issue. I think he can win games. I think if we put the right talent around him, we can go to the playoffs consistently. If we get everything right. I believe that. But I put him in the category of, and I'm not trying to insult the guy, but this is the way I feel. Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr. One comparison that I really love, I know their personalities are different, but playing style is kind of similar, is Baker Mayfield. They're not tall, don't have blazing speed. Yeah, they're a little mobile. They can get the first down. We see Tua do this like Euro step.
I love that. It's one of my favorite things. Like, it's beautiful.
It works, man. He's got it. But he's not running away from guys. You know what I mean? Like, he can get that tough yard. We've seen, he got the against the Falcons, hit a guy. He showed toughness, but he doesn't have that. And I'm going to be a little harsh here, but it almost looks like he is like a freshman. Like we see, I don't know if you follow college much, but you see a kid that's like a 5-star recruit starting as a freshman, and he shows his talent, but he hasn't got like developed in his like man body yet.
Yeah.
Tua just seems like when he's in the pocket that he's just small. He struggles to see around the lines, and Drew Brees, I hate that comparison because Drew had this ability just to get on his tippy toes, or like there's something about him where his delivery, his arm angles, he figured it out. I don't know if that's something Tua can really improve on, but to me, when the pocket is collapsing, it's just like he's just like grown men are around him, and he's just not a full-size player to me. And
Yeah,
it's a weird, description of it, but it just seems like he's a little soft.
but then, like, do you not think, and especially as we saw, like, was it 3 and 9/10 of Jacoby Brissett as a Dolphin, as a starter? Yeah. Do you not think that he's made the offensive line look better than it actually is? Like in the 2 games that he played, he didn't get sacked once against Jacksonville, which is amazing given how bad his offensive line is. And obviously, people want to look at, and rightfully so, that was it second interception against the Falcons, which was just boneheaded stupid. Right. Nothing he can do about it. But he made plays where the pocket is collapsing, and he stood tall, and at 3rd down, bang, Jalen Waddle and stuff like that. And again, maybe some of it is just, he's came off the hip injury, and then come off the broken ribs, I guess. And it's like, as he's still developing, growing, he will, I guess, iron out some of these perceived flaws, I guess. Is it more a case of you don't think he's ever going to get it, or he's not going to get it for the next few years? And given the way that this Dolphin team is being built, Miami can't really afford for him to, I guess, learn on the job.
I think what we're seeing is second-year mistakes. Back in, 20 years ago, he would have been praised for his numbers, his 4 touchdowns, and he would have been chalked up as he's a young guy. He's gonna give him time. He's got to learn. That's not how it works today. It's social media. We need everything now. I'll tell you a couple of things. So to address the offensive line, when a defensive coordinator is going against a quarterback, you're going to call plays differently. And when people say no one could work with this offensive line, it's because I think a lot of it is the defense they can gamble more. They can make up for maybe some of their mistakes and bad calls. They're not afraid of Tua running all over them. They're not afraid of Tua scrambling around for 10 seconds in the backfield and then having one of those long plays that you talk about that we never see happen. And I hate to bring this up, and I'm not going to say that I'm a Deshaun Watson. Character is important. I hate what he's going through. But talent-wise, do we not remember that Houston sold the farm for Tunsil? Their offensive line was buns, man. Like it was real bad. And so bad, I went back and I looked at his O-line. Kadeem, I follow the NFL, not as religiously like I once did. I got, other priorities in life, unfortunately. But those guys, I don't even know who they were. Like the names I couldn't even recognize from 3-4 years ago. Who was blocking for him? It was real bad. But yes, he got hurt, but he was making stuff happen with a garbage offensive line. Yes, he had Hopkins on the outside. Yes, he had Fuller when he was playing.
Yeah.
So that's another side of it for me where I don't like when someone says there's no way, because you know what you can do as well? You can go up to the line and change plays. You can dictate what the defense should and should not be doing. If they're in a man coverage, you want them to switch out of it, you get some motion going. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying Tua is not intelligent enough to do this. I'm not saying that he's incapable. I don't know if he's handcuffed much by our offensive coaches. That's another debacle. And I just want to say real quick, it's such a debacle. We have 2 offensive coordinators, and this was at the beginning of the year. Now it's changed. We have two offensive coordinators, and guess what? Neither was calling the plays. It was our quarterback coach. What is that? So
very quickly. So like, I think the one thing people say quite a lot, and I need to start kind of hitting back on this on the podcast, is that Miami haven't helped Tua, and in certain ways they haven't. You know, and again, you can look at who's on the offensive line, who's the receivers and all that kind of stuff. But more people have kind of pointed out, and it's starting to make more sense to me now as well, that Miami have addressed the offensive line. They've just done it really, really badly, in the sense that I guess now left tackle and left guard, they've got they've got a first round pick in Austin Jackson, a second round pick in Liam Eichenberg. They've got a second round pick in Robert Hunt, and they also drafted Solomon Kindley. So that's 4 offensive linemen. So like they tried to help him there, and to kind of follow on from your point, it seemed the reason they brought in Charlie Fryer was because he had worked with Tua before. So by keeping on, Charlie Fryer and the offensive coordinator hires in Studville and Godsey, guys who'd been around Tua last year as well, it's like they tried to help him. But I think the problem people are saying is that, well, while you tried to help him, it may be better to get actual good guys in the building to help him even better. Like, it's one thing to have your friends around you, but sometimes you need the outside people to be like, you know what, this isn't working, we're going to do this. So, yeah, like you said, 2 offensive coordinators, but the guy calling the plays wasn't. Yeah, it's a mess.
Never heard of it. Never heard of anything like that before in the NFL. It may happen, but we keep everything tight in the house, right? Which I love that. But when that leaked out, Tua told Trent Dilfer, who was training him in the offseason, and Dilfer's the one that leaked it to the media, I guess. I cringed so bad when I heard that. I was like, what? And I like the Charlie Frye hire. I do. It's someone that he's comfortable with. We wanted to make him comfortable, but I agree. And one of my last points on Tua is he, to me, is not an alpha. He is not a guy, and an alpha doesn't necessarily. There's some guys, I don't even know who to compare. I should have. This one's a little tough. Aaron Rodgers, he does do his like social media and stuff on the side, but that Bears game when he's in the end zone and he's cursing, "I effing own you."
Yeah.
That Tua doesn't have that edge, man. And in a good way, you want that. You want that. He's not going to get in trouble. He's going to represent your franchise with complete class. But Tom Brady has that. He's known for trash talking.
Yeah.
And even like Phillip Rivers, big time trash talker. I feel like you look at all the great quarterbacks that played, there's an edge to them. I don't see that edge with Tua. I don't see guys getting behind him. And the best example, it's Fitz. Those guys last year, and Fitz is a lovable guy, so I won't. That's an extreme case. I think if he gets on any roster, he has that charisma. Tua just doesn't have that. I just don't believe it. And part of it is playing ability. You'll gain respect what you do on the field, but the other part is just who you are. If you have that edge to you, and he just doesn't have that cold-blooded. He wants to win. Kid's gonna try like hell, but there's other, like Michael Jordan. I don't want to give extreme examples, but they're just mean dudes. Like, they're just angry, and I just don't see Tua being that guy. And that's the problem. What I personally have is when we did this whole rebuild, who's winning Super Bowls. It's not the guys that are around 15 and ranked in the league.
Yeah.
Like, it's possible. Joe Flacco one year he had a very it happens. But if you want to be there every year knocking on the door, you got to have a top 5, top 7 guy. I don't think Tua will be a top 5, 7 guy anytime soon.
But then it's funny because, you know, I try and watch as much media availability as I can. And obviously there was stuff in the offseason about how, you know, people weren't happy with the Tua switch and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, there were people trash talking Tua. And I'm pretty sure someone done it again this week. And I can't remember what it was exactly, but people were just like, I think they kind of put Zach Taylor's name to it. It's like, dude, like, you're doing it again. Like, this is stupid. Like we know it's true. We're not that dumb. But then you look at guys like, you know, I think the biggest Tua fan in the building is like Mike Gesicki. Like, he seems to love him. Like, I don't know what it is about those two, but even like when they celebrated his touchdown over the weekend, like those two seem like they've got a real connection. That's really budding and stuff like that. And Mike was like one of the only ones in the offseason who stood up for Tua and was like, no, like he's our guy. You know, not to kind of go back to it, but like I asked Ogba about it. I think I asked Baker as well. And like, again, Baker is a very lovable guy, a very happy person. He's been very down the past few weeks. Again, you know, obviously because the team are losing. And he was down in London. But when asked about Tua, he smiled like, yeah, Tua's a dude. And I think, again, it's plays like that scramble for the first down where Harris hits him and he stays up and he gets the thing. That to me anyway is kind of like, you can try and put this kid down as much as possible, but he's playing with essentially broken ribs and he's willing to keep on going. And we all know there's players in this building who they feel, you know, a broken nail come in and they're out for weeks. They're not doing it. And I kind of think, I don't get me wrong, I totally understand where you're coming from. Tua isn't a score a touchdown, you know, scream at the opposing team or, you know, do anything like that. But to me, he's like a silent assassin. He's just going to kill you by smiling at you. And you'll be like, dude, like, what's wrong with you? And again, that's not for everyone. I think because I'm quite like that, you know, it's why I've got the Tua jersey and the 2 o'clock behind me, all that kind of stuff, and why I love the kid so much. But I understand why, if you look at the top quarterbacks around the league, there's a reason why they have that arrogance, that cockiness. And yeah, the one thing about Tua is he's just a really, really nice kid. And I think that's why, I don't know if we'll get to the Watson stuff, but I think that's why the fan base is kind of like, this kid doesn't deserve this because he's nothing but nice. Like, you can't hate on this kid. And that's what makes it even worse.
No, that's exactly right. This is just a good guy. We've worked with guys. You've had coworkers that may not be great at their job, but you know what? They may have a family at home. They may have some other situation, and you kind of like, you give that guy excuses, right? You're like, but you like him. You like his personality. You root for him. It's just that's what I feel like. We're rooting for a guy that we want him to be the guy, but he just, even at Alabama, when you look back at his career, I don't know. And even like Waddle or Smith, whoever, one of the two said, who would you rather have, Tua or Mac Jones? Now they're getting asked questions and they just might mess around. And one of them said Mac Jones.
It was Waddle. And again, everyone was like, I think at the time people were saying, well, you know, Tua's already in the league, Mac Jones isn't, Waddle's just trying to thing and
helping his boy,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
No, was it Smith? And I think actually, it might be Smith because people say, well, he won the Heisman with Smith. So of course he's going to say Smith. And everyone's like, don't quite know. So yeah, sorry for that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I just feel like there's some guys, and Brady has mastered it. And it's a harsh comparison, you know, comparing Tua in his second year to Brady's not even human like what he's doing right now. It's unbelievable. But Brady has that respect, and you see it on the field. He's chopping up with the guys. Like, he's not afraid of nobody. I'm not saying Tua's afraid. He just doesn't go after him. And I think that killer instinct is what the greats have. They really do. I mean, there's a few guys I can think that have been super. Barry Sanders comes to mind. Not flashy guys. They just go out there, handle their business, and carry on. I just think Barry Sanders is different because he's a running back. When you're the quarterback, you have responsibilities, and that's to lead a team. And that team should take on your personality.
Yeah.
And what is that personality for Tua? And I'm being honest, nice guy. Like, really, that's what you think about when you think of Tua. That's like the first thing. You're like, he's just a good dude. He's gonna work hard. He's gonna do the right things, say the right things, and that's great. But I need a little bit of a bad boy. I need a rough rider, man. I need a dude that is gonna just ruffle the feathers with some guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just call people out and make things uncomfortable at times. That's what the great ones do. I don't see him being that guy. I feel like he definitely doesn't have the respect right now in the league overall.
Yeah. Again, like, do you not think that comes from the coaching staff? And again, it's something I've said for the past 2 years. It's that blue chip personality of a blue chip talent. We don't want the guys who are going to come in and and not so much cause trouble, but the grab you by the throat. And it's something I see a lot on social media at the moment. It's the Dolphins don't have anyone that's going to smack players around their face and scream in their face. And it's like, well, the Dolphins had that. Bullygate was a thing. Like, we don't need to go back to that. And again, maybe that's because that's not who I am. I'd much rather a lead by example as opposed to lead by,
okay,
smacking head against the locker and stuff like that.
Okay, that's fine. So if Tua is going to be that guy, then who is that guy in our team?
And again, I totally get that. It's the Dolphins have a lot of nice players.
Yes, and who's the bully?
Yeah,
who's the guy that you don't mess with that boy? And that's why I'm liking Holland. That's why I'm getting crazy about Holland, because I think he can be that dude. I think that he can be that enforcer that players around the league are like, all right, that boy can play. Like, they're going to respect. If you slip up, go across the middle and get a little too high, reaching for a ball, he's going to make you, pay for it. I don't know. Like, right on our defensive line, Wilkins is a nice guy. He's like the Tua personality.
See, I was thinking about Wilkins, but I think Wilkins is very much like, he's going to annoy you to death. Because again, Trevor Lawrence called him annoying. And I remember a video clip from last year where it might have been against the Bengals and other games where you can just imagine like offensive lineman just going, "Oh, dude, will you shut up? You're so annoying." Like, and again, he's another one who will gnash you to death. But he's also got like a violent streak, but it's like against his own player. Like, you see him punching players and stuff like that, and it's like, well, just don't hurt them and stuff. I think Holland is definitely one, but yeah, I don't think there is many others. However, like that Bengals game last year where that massive fight kicked off, was that from someone hitting Jakeem Grant too much and then it all kicked off? I think it was. If I remember correctly, was they kept on like special teams hitting Grant hard, and I think Parker lost it. And if it was Parker, then people have been joking that since Jakeem Grant being traded, Parker hadn't played a single game. And, Grant's upset that his boy Parker left. And listen, rumors are rumors, speculation, jokes and all that kind of stuff. But there had been moments where the Dolphins have shown a nasty side. And again, that Bengals game is the one that brings to mind. But that was just more sticking up for their own.
Yeah, I mean, these are grown men. I mean, it's going to, if a certain situation occurs, yeah, you would expect someone to push back, at some point. I just think, I mean, maybe the Chiefs are guilty of it too. I mean, they're not a hit you in the mouth team. They can't run the ball hard. Their defense is soft. Teams aren't scared. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're fast. We get it. Your scheme's great. And it's easy to pick on them right now because they're not doing well. I understand that. It's been they've had an unbelievable run, but that's the problem, I think, with this team. The defense, Baker is another guy, soft. Like, he's He's going to show up on time. He's going to do what Flores needs. He's a good soldier. He's going to fall in line. But I don't see him fighting with offensive linemen. I want to see guys get angry. And we saw a little bit of Austin Jackson do it.
Yeah.
That last game, he was getting a little jacked up. I need more of that. And I know when you're on a losing streak, it's hard to get that. But even I think when we were winning, last year, I didn't feel that, okay, where the alphas at? And that's why I didn't want to get rid of Howard, because it's not even the bully alpha, but we don't have superstars. Like, what other team would love to cherry pick from our team? Like, who would they be picking right off the bat? It's a lot of guys with high ceilings. Phillips, I like Phillips. He just hasn't blossomed yet. He's popped in some games. There's no doubt the kid has talent, and the one stat he had, like, the quickest get off in the league. I love that. Like, he's gonna be okay, but Raekwon Davis, he's been disappointing. I was so high on him. I love the draft pick. He's just that mountain in the middle. I thought he was going to give just great push. I thought us missing him for those couple of games was a huge loss. That's why we were struggling against the run. Is he still injured? He doesn't pop off the screen on Sundays to me. That's a problem. I just don't. Like I said, I wanted to keep Howard because we lack the superstar guys. We have a lot of nice pieces, maybe system guys.
Yeah.
Well, when the system guys aren't playing well, that's we're witnessing what that looks like right now.
Yeah, there's a reason why I say nice guy finished last. Again, I think I've managed football teams, UK football and stuff like that, and I was very much that kind of, I didn't manage horrible teams. We was always nice. Again, we had a bit of bite to us, but we was very much okay. We're not going to get into fights. We're just going to beat you by playing good football as opposed to kicking you off the park, I guess. And yeah, I think that's probably why I like this Dolphins team, is because I'm not ashamed by anyone. And I think that's probably the best. No, sorry, you can say something.
No. I agree with you. Like, it's hard to get, they're nice guys. Like, it's hard to rip down anyone because the effort is there. Noah, we saw in the offseason, it seemed like he was putting in the work to get better. He wants to be better. The guy just can't find the ball when it's in the air. He just can't. Like, it's frustrating. And then he gets blamed because he's where he got drafted. Not necessarily his fault. It's Austin Jackson. He's got to stay at left guard. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was awful at left tackle. Like, and I think and that's okay. Like, it's Eric Flowers did the same thing. He's having a nice career. The Giants fans hated it. He went to Washington, revived his career. He came down with us for a bit. It's, we can kind of like make up for misses here and there, but when it's an avalanche, like it appears to be a little bit like Hunter Long, okay, how can't you get on the field? Because to be honest with you, I liked our tight end room a lot last year. And now when I watch other teams, I look at their second tight end, I look at their third tight end, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy is talented. They're super athletic. Shaheen, I thought he was better. He's not doing much for me. And Smythe, known for his blocking ability, he had a couple, I forget, it was like a 4th down and 1. We went for it against whoever. I feel like he had a missed block there. There's been some moments where I'm just like, all right, he's not the elite run blocker I thought he was. It's just like we were just talking about. When system guys, when it's not gelling, it's not looking pretty, it gets real ugly, and we're living it. And then the icing on the cake, which makes us just so brutal, is we don't have that pick. We don't have that pick, and it's just we have to look at that, and we have to see that in Bleacher Report and everywhere else. Like, the current draft order, it's brutal. it hurts the heart every time you look at it. You're like, this is just painful.
But okay, so like at some point we've got to talk Watson. But before we do, say the Dolphins had their first round pick, and at this stage it's looking like a top 5 pick. What would you do with it? Would you? Dolphins finish with a top 5 pick. The record doesn't bother me. It's a top 5 pick. Everyone's going to say you draft a quarterback with that pick in what seems like a very bad quarterback class. It's one of the classes where it's like you may need to just skip quarterback and just, So what do you do with that top? Had we had it, what do you do with that first round pick? Because again, given the quote unquote misses the Dolphins have had with first round picks, I wouldn't even recommend trading back and getting more, because it's like you guys haven't had the best of records of your first round pick. So what do you do with it?
My message to Greer is simple. It is so simple. Stop overthinking it and stop being so cute. They are trying so hard to screw it up. It's just unbelievable. We don't get to interview these kids. We like to sit back and play GM, and the issue is they have all the information. And even with, I love this podcast because we got receipts. We can go back and remember who we liked and this and that. I like Chase. Chase, I thought, was the best wideout coming out. He looks great, right? It's easy. I like Waddle, though. Waddle's doing well. But one thing we didn't like? I did not like jumping from 12 to 6.
Yeah.
Essentially, when we went from 3 to 6 for one first rounder, I don't think that was enough. I loved this past draft. I thought it was loaded with talent, but we got cute. But the thing is, even though we did that mistake, I like this past draft. I will stand up and still say I like Holland. I even like Eichenberg. I think the kid can play, and why I like the pick is because in 2 years at Notre Dame, he didn't give up like a sack. Don't tell me that he played high-level football at a premier program, and now, yeah, he got bull rushed a couple times. And just because he has a couple bad moments, he can't get it done. I think the guy can play for us. He doesn't look like he's going to be an all-pro at the moment, but he can play. I like our guys. The year before, Austin Jackson, we all kind of like, oh, okay. That was like we forced the need. And Noah we all were scratching our heads. I tried to get on board. Charlie was really against it. And we all were kind of like, okay. And Jackson, he didn't have a lot of tape. And it was just, he had a high ceiling. Oh, he had an operation. So it's you're reaching. There's just guys that are ready to play, and they're good. When we drafted Jarvis Landry, I remember Todd McShay saying he's one of like my favorite player in this draft. This guy's just a football player. He is just a dog. That's an alpha. Jarvis Landry is going to come out, and you're not going to talk trash to him and get away with it. He's going to bust you up, and that's what Greer needs to do. And I don't know the exact player. I just want a football player. I want a star. I want a guy that is going to shine immediately, not be this project. Stop with projects and what high potential. I think the Ravens have done a great job. And for a while, Ozzie Newsome, and now I forget who the GM is now. Those guys get like those Bama guys. They get players that are ready to go. I just, even the Waddle thing, we got so cute because I loved Bateman. I loved Bateman. I loved Moore for the Cardinals. I loved, I'm forgetting one more, not Elijah Moore. He's a little too small for me, but there's another wideout. It's evading me at the moment. Oh, Tony.
Yeah, Tony, yeah.
Have you watched him play?
I literally watch Dolphins game and trying to avoid the rest of the NFL at the moment. Like, it's too. Again, you see me in fantasy football. I've given up on the season. Yeah,
we don't need to go there on this. So bad. but that's my issue. Is just my girl's a big Gator fan. I watch Pitts. I watch Tony a lot. I saw what those guys could do. I know Tony didn't look great or with drops. Charlie was ragging on him a bit, but regardless, there's just some guys that you just don't have to overthink it. And Greer is just overthinking it. And now with this Watson thing, I presume he just doesn't sleep anymore. He's just losing his mind. He doesn't know what to do. He's terrified if he's going to go to jail or not. Do I do this? Do I do that? It's a disaster. It's becoming a disaster for sure.
You mentioned Watson. Let's talk Watson. So what was the last thing you heard or read, I guess?
That there's multiple teams now involved. Before it was only the Dolphins, and with Sam Darnold getting benched, clearly the Panthers are ready to win right now. I think they have done a really good job of building their team. Last year they just drafted all defensive players. They're a sneaky upcoming team, I think. Yeah. And Watson went to Clemson in South Carolina, North Carolina. I mean, that's kind of, his home base for college. So it's a good fit for him. I think he would, he has that no trade clause. That's definitely a place I think he would go. I think he'd be crazy to say no. Yeah, that's the latest is now that there's multiple teams, but Denver I heard is out. So, Denver's going to do the Manning thing. They're just going to get Rodgers on 2-3 year, and they'll probably get another ring.
So about 2-3 hours from when this was recorded, Barry Jackson tweeted that I'm not going to try and put words in anyone's mouth. I've got the exact tweet from Barry Jackson up here somewhere. So Barry Jackson tweeted, Houston Chronicle reports Dolphins and Texans have agreed on trade terms for Watson, but Dolphins want his legal issues resolved before consuming deal. Good luck with that. Chronicle suggests Ross wants clarity from Goodell on level of potential suspension. Good luck with that. So that's what Barry Jackson tweeted. McLean came out and tweeted, I've been bombarded with messages saying I've reported a Watson deal to the Dolphins had been agreed on. I haven't reported that. Nothing changed since last week. Dolphins and any other team Watson has approved want the legal issue resolved. That hasn't changed. Now, I've read the McLean article. He says terms have been agreed. But he also says that the Dolphins aren't making a trade until the legal issues are resolved. Right. Now, again, Dolphins Twitter at this point has lost their mind. It's like, hold on, this makes no sense. How can terms have been agreed and yet the legal issues aren't going away? So what was agreed? Okay, if it goes away, we'll give you X and Y and Z. It's not going away next week, and the trade deadline is next week. And then also Roger Goodell basically said that because he's not guilty of anything, and because the NFL hasn't started their investigation, because there's another investigation going on, Watson can play. So at that point, everyone's like, so Watson can play and trade terms have been agreed. At this point, every time my phone goes off, I'm just thinking, it's going to happen. With what you just heard, what do you think now? Is he a Dolphin, or are the Dolphins too scared to pull the trigger right now?
All right, so let me tell you where I stand. Before the season, before the story broke with his issues, I was signing off on the Watson deal. For the same reason I said, I've seen enough of Tua. I know there's more growth. I know the kid can play. I just don't think he will ever be top 5, top 7. And I think you need top 5, 7 guy. I think best case scenario, Tua is floating, best case, around 12. That's what my belief is. I don't understand how an organization with the resources of the Miami Dolphins, you have one of the richest men on the planet as your owner. You should have an army of attorneys, that the elite of the elite. How are you negotiating terms? But it's contingent on what happens in his trouble. Like this makes no sense to me because we've heard from everyone, Adam Schefter, all of the guys reporting that this isn't going away. Yeah. This is something that is going to be dragged on for some time. And the crazy thing to me is I don't understand. It's almost like the NFL sabotaging him because, yeah, why isn't he being suspended? Why like they're not even getting involved yet? Usually, I mean, remember Goodell, he's been better of late, but at one point, if you got like a parking ticket, you were like being brought in and being questioned about it.
It's not difficult to say while you're being investigated, you can't play. It doesn't mean you're guilty. It just means while this is going on, we think it's best that you focus on that. And once it's all cleared up, then we'll have a conversation with you. But this whole, well, we're staying back because, the police are doing their job. And while it's going on, you can play. It's like, no, that's utter rubbish. People will say that it's because he's a top 5 talent and the owners want him playing because it brings, eyes to the product. But it's not good eyes. Like, no one wants to see Watson play while he's got 22 allegations hanging over his head. To me, that just seems illogical.
I'm tired of seeing these reports about Ross, too, because it was reported that he forced Tua to be drafted, that a lot of the guys, Greer, Flo, I don't know who, they wanted Herbert. So reports were the room was split. Ross was all about Tua, kind of like forced their hand. Okay, well, if that's what happened, now he's forcing Tua gone and to force that. If that's even close to being accurate, we're in big trouble. Like
that's that Jerry Jones stuff which we didn't want. It's like
exactly.
As an owner, you pay the football guys to do football stuff. And again, it's funny. So league owners meeting, Ross turns up, media are ready to ask him questions. And apparently he laughs and is like, I know why you're here, I'm not discussing it. And it's like, again, so many people have said, if the Dolphins aren't interested in Watson, it is so easy to say, Tua's our quarterback, we are negotiating for no one. But instead, now again, Flores over the past few weeks has been more praiseful of Tua. He's kind of said, he's playing well. It's like he's gone against everything he's been doing over the past few years and praising players. And I was like, oh, that means he must like Tua. And I'm thinking, is he just trying to like keep his draft stock high? And if it's true that the Dolphins don't want any part of Watson while this case is ongoing, the trade deadline will come and go. Tua is going to be a Miami Dolphin. But for the next few months, we're just going to hear what trade place. It's just a wait and see, basically.
No, I don't care if you are, a blood relative of Tua. Like, I don't care how close you are to, how much you love this man. As a Dolphins fan, the Dolphins are interested in Watson.
Of course.
This is a fact at this point. Because, like you just said, you would not bring this chaos upon your franchise. And when you can simply say, absolutely not. We want character here. That's something that we're not interested in. We have our guy. It's really simple. I mean, you don't have to have an attorney write up a pretty letter breaking it down and being politically correct. It's get up on the mic and just utter out a sentence or two, and it's over. But they're not.
Even the distractions, like, and again, you can understand that first is what it is, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that it's basically after every single game now, there's a trade going to happen, all this kind of stuff. You kind of want Flores to come out and say, you know what, before you ask me any questions, I'm putting to bed once and for all. It's too distracting. I don't like it no more. I'm shutting it down. Tua's our quarterback. We drafted him 5th overall for a reason. He's developing nicely. We are going to, see this through. So for the time being, not for the time being, for the foreseeable future, Tua's our quarterback, and we are negotiating for no one else. But again, at first it was like, Tua was like, oh, Flores said, Tua's our quarterback, he's our guy, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that was nice. But again, it's like, I don't believe this whole we don't pay attention to outside rumors, because apparently fans are chanting, "We want Watson." It's like there's enough noise, there's enough smoke that you need to shut this down. And if you don't shut this down, like you said, it's okay. You now admit that you want Watson, and at that point, just pull the trigger because this isn't going away. Have him in the building at this point. But again, I do not want Watson. I want to stick with Tua. You know, in an ideal world, Watson would have no allegations over his head, but it's not an ideal world. He has it over his head, and even if he didn't, I'm too much of a Tua stan to be like, yeah, like I'm ride or die Tua.
You're going down with the ship no matter what. I get it.
Yeah.
Here, I got a good question for you though. What was that about with Tua saying that Flo keeps him? The communication lines are wide open. That Flores talks to Greer, and then Flores goes back and tells Tua what's going on, what's happening. He's like, he keeps me in the loop, basically. I was scratching my head saying, why would a starting quarterback or any player have to hear from the GM what they're doing? I mean, those are two different jobs. Like your job is to play football. The other one is to, operate the team and personnel. What does he have to keep him? What's the lines of communication? That was so bizarre to me. You have any take on that?
I think we've seen over the past 2 seasons that, so prime example, Aaron Rodgers had no idea that the Packers were drafting Justin Love. No idea. No, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Had no idea. Aaron Rodgers had his whole thing over the summer where it's like, the GM doesn't tell me anything. And people were like, well, you're the quarterback. Why should they? But then, the Bucs told Brady that they were drafting, Carl Trask? And Brady Brady doesn't fear for his job. I believe the Bengals told Andy Dalton that they're drafting Justin Fields. Andy Dalton has just got into the building. So that part of me is like, okay, well, if you want a good relationship between your head coach, your GM, and your starting quarterback, then keep him in the loop. Tua knocks on the door. Flo, Greer, I know this had nothing to do with me, but I'm hearing a lot of rumors. People are talking. Can you tell me anything? And the response might be, they're just rumors. It's not that. You focus on your job. Let the papers talk. And if that happened, then fair enough. Or Tua said, are these rumors? And they said, no, they're not rumors. We want Watson, but go out there and do your job. I think I want to believe that it was the latter. It was, there was so much talk, and that Flores had to come out and say, guys, we don't want Watson. Tua, focus on your job. It's all good. Watson is just hearsay. And again, I think today's been a very long day. I think some people have even said that all this Tua talk, all this on Miami talk, all this Panthers talk, it's a Texan trying to drum up interest because no one's calling their phone. So who knows? But yeah, it was a very odd thing to say. But again, given what we've heard from other quarterbacks this offseason, I can kind of see why Tua would actually be in the loop because,
But those situations were totally different. Those situations where we're bringing in a backup. This is Watson isn't coming in as a backup. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that I understand those other situations. I can understand Rodgers, situation. I do. This one, when he said that, I found that to be so bizarre. I did not know what to read into that. I don't think it's good. I took that as an ouch. It was basically he's giving him some hard reality of, hey, that's this we're constantly trying to get better, and no one's job is safe, basically to Tua, which you want to send that message to everyone, but this guy's he's kind of shook right now. He's trying to get his legs under him in this league, and you want to give a guy like that an endorsement publicly, and that wasn't a good thing.
But it's funny because they gave him that once. They gave the team to him in the offseason. Again, wasn't there reports that players didn't like the fact that Tua was named a starter? Because again, Flores and mostly Flores always preaches, all we're looking to get better. always across multiple positions, all that kind of stuff. And yet they was like, no, Tua the starter. Next season, Tua the starter. And everyone was like, well, hold on, why did Tua get that vote of confidence, but no one else did? And yet, so again, maybe that's what it is. It's like we gave him the vote of confidence in the off season, and again, I think it's because it's like every single game, every single day. There's another Houston reporter saying, "Oh no, I've heard from my sources that it was agreed. It's going for a Monday."
I was just gonna say with the Watson thing, it's mixed. It's so hard to say, "Yep, I want this," because it can blow up in our face if he does come. But the one thing is, yes, it's not all Tua's fault, but Watson can instantly. We can get free agents at a bargain. I think he's going to make that offense line better than what it is. He's a star quarterback, raises the level of everyone, including the defense. It gives them confidence. Like, they give up a touchdown. Okay, our guy's going to go back there and answer the bell, and we got to just regroup. Let's take a breath. Let's look at our iPads. Let's figure out what they just did to us, and we're going to be okay. Like, it's good to have that confidence. I'm not saying, not every player on the team doesn't have confidence in Tua, but I'm sure some people have their doubts. I mean, this kid's had thrown some really bad interceptions. That's kind of the difference. And I will throw this in. I would like to see, and it's early, I would like to see us get Bill O'Brien in the building as our OC. He is at Alabama right now, and if we got Watson, no one knows that guy better than him. And Bill O'Brien is a Patriot disciple, so him and Flo should get along just fine because they came from the same tree of Belichick, basically. I think that offense, we would instantly – that's the problem. We don't even talk about our offensive coordinators at all. It's just all on Tua, which isn't fair to Tua, but he is set up to fail to some degree. Unfortunately, it's just how, it's a business ultimately. And when you make bad business decisions, you hire a bad salesperson, you hire a bad national sales manager. If they do a poor job, unfortunately, other people are affected, and people lose jobs even though it's not their fault. And this is the Tua thing. Bad decisions have been made, and unfortunately, Tua's thrown in this mix of crap.
Yeah. I know if Charlie was here, he'd say one hit. He told me to shut up because we're not trading for Watson. He'd be like, I don't want to hear this. He gave Watson talk way too much time. So yeah, Charlie Touche is, and from the beginning, he's been a very stern. Don't message me about this Watson stuff. Charlie is a firm believer that Watson is never going to end up in Miami. I personally hope he's right, but stay tuned for bonus time. I promise you, one of these episodes, I'm going to get the outro right. So it's thank you for listening, tune in. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you tune in next time for Kadeem Simmons, for ShareRide Steve, Go Time Dolphins. All right, say.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
Bill O'Brien as an OC, no. That
makes so much sense to me.
I think,
and he's waiting too. He's waiting.
I think people joke. So we signed Duke Johnson to our practice squad, and people was like, "That's Will Fuller, that's Duke Johnson." Go get the trio, and it's like the trio could be Bill O'Brien at this point. I've seen a lot of people say, and again, this I truly do not believe in, but like, blow it up. Fire Flores, fire Greer, and then just out of an act of kindness, move on from Tua because it's an unhealthy relationship. No one's happy at the moment. Tua can't be happy, even though I think he's on a boat dressed up as Woody from Toy Story right now. Don't know if you've seen the pictures. Looks pretty cool. But again, that's a very nice.
Kadeem, dude. You should have brought that up earlier when I'm talking about alpha dog bowling.
Yeah, that's like of all characters, like too much dressed up as Woody the cowboy.
Oh man, just okay.
I think with Trill Williams dressed up as the giant girl doll from Squid Game. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
Okay, but yeah, watch it. Great TV show, and watch it in the original language and have the subtitles on. Don't dub it. That's just a really bad decision. But I've got on phone now. Apart from Woody as Tua or Tua as Woody.
Yeah, that I really wish you brought that up earlier. That would have really drove home my argument. You probably purposely left that out, but
it's keep my mind. I apologize.
No, so I like Flo. I will say that. I believe I think he's a rock. I think he can lead men, and he has. To me, he's the bully on our team. He's got that that guy scares me. He's got that stone face on the sideline. I love it. Like he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, but he gets a little jacked up time to time. And I think he has that right balance, that right temperament. And he says the right things in the media, and I like him believing. Now Greer, I mean, we praised him in the offseason of what he's done, this rebuild, getting the draft picks, but I say give him another chance. I mean, this is a lot of his guys. I would keep it together, but I've also seen reports where they're not getting along, Greer and Flo. I hear Flo is pushing around Greer, saying that he wants these guys, and then Greer's kind of bowing down to him. Can't be like that. Cannot be like that. This has to be a chain of command. And so we just don't know. If that's true, then I have a problem with Greer. He's too soft. He needs to be more of a leader. But I think Flo is. I mean, we struggled so long with coaches. I mean, it was so bad for almost 2 decades. I think we got a good guy. I think he'll get scooped up if he was available. We just talked about guys that if they were to leave the team, like what real stars we have. I think he's a real star. I really do.
100%. If the Dolphins fired him now, I can imagine him like Oakland. Given what's happened to Oakland, I'd be like, we want a good guy, but who can lead the locker room. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
What I find hilarious, the people go in, the Dolphins need to stop hiring these first-time, head coaches and go and get, a real leader, some of experience. Yeah, go and get Brian Dable, and it's like, Lord, you're repeating the same mistakes. You can't say don't hire a first-time head coach and then hire Brian Dable, or they need to get away from the defensive, coordinators. It's like, listen, it's a typical NFL thing. You have a defensive head coach, the next guy is an offensive one. It's back and forth, and no, I'm very much of the belief that, listen, we were 1 game away from the playoffs. Everyone said that Brian Flores should have won Coach of the Year last year. People said he should have won it the year before. And don't get me wrong, this is an awful, awful, awful season. We're 1-6. But again, listen to players when they were in London, listen to players after the Falcons game. They believe they are genuinely close. Literally just there. And I think, for all the Tua haters out there, both Jacksonville and the Falcons, he had the team up. Again, after horrible mistakes, especially against the Falcons, he had the team up with 2:37 left in the clock, and said, even if it was a case of I messed up, but now we've got the lead, just hold him out. And the defense just went, nope, don't care. No. And that's what you're saying, yeah?
Yeah, but you know what really bugged me about that interception? It was the timing of it. It was just, our boy Howard making a play like he does, like he can. And then it just, you watching the game, I wasn't there, but you felt it in the stadium. everyone was excited. You got to know how to win in the league, and putting up numbers is great. And I want to put up numbers, not just W's, but numbers, because that shows me that he can carry an offense or, win a game kind of on his own if he needs to. That was the major problem. To me, he hasn't figured out how to win yet. I think eventually he can, but for how long? How long are we going to sit around and wait, man? It's that timing of the interception was, I'm sure thousands and thousands of people were like, yep, at that moment, I'm done.
Because, again, but my Twitter timeline, who, again, mostly positive Tua fans, were just like, I can't do this no more. And again, It was just like, again, it was a bad day, Dolphins losing. He had threw a bad interception. We got the ball back. It's like, let's go and win it. And it was just like the very next play was just like, yeah, dude, it's like, dude, like, we've tried to defend you. Now, again, granted, he then, drove the team down the field. Great touchdown drive. But again, I think a lot of people are like, dude, it's too little, too late. Like, you've broken my heart for the last time.
We're talking about the Falcons and the Jaguars. Can we keep that in mind when we talk about 4 touchdowns? The Bills are coming, or we're going to Buffalo. Like, if he puts up 4 touchdowns and 300 plus yards, like, okay, that's going to be impressive. But I'm not impressed at home against the Falcons. Jacksonville, they had the second longest losing streak in NFL history. Like, we cannot brag about Tua's numbers and his performance against JV teams. They are JV teams. It's no debate.
And like they're coming again, they're coming in the fourth quarter, and it's like, dude, like we need them in the first, second, and third. And again, like I asked Jalen Waddle, why is it you guys are really good in the first and fourth quarter, but slow in the second and third? And he was like, that's not true. And I was like, dude, it is true. Because the numbers bear it out. The way you guys play bear it out. You guys, it's literally Dolphins are down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. The Dolphins start airing it out, drive down the field, and it's like, dude, it's that easy. But I think even against the Falcons, there wasn't a single pass to a free for over 20 yards.
You know what? And I'm just gonna say it. We come out with maybe a decent, good game plan, and we have the other team back on their heels. They're like, okay, whatever we're doing, confusing them a bit. And then when they get caught up, they're like, okay, we're going to make this adjustment. Our offensive coordinators potentially don't do it, but then it's on maybe Tua. He's got to improvise more. At that point, you got to say, hey, I'm going to take this on as the star. You know what I mean? Like the game script looks nice when he has to execute at times, but when it's off game script, I mean, at the end of the game, I'm not talking about garbage time points. That's like, that is what it is. But like you said, second quarter, let's get some spontaneous drives going, some wild plays. We don't make top 10 ESPN at all, ever.
No,
it isn't. We don't live there. We haven't seen that in a very long time. Well, last year, I guess we popped up here and there, but you know what I mean?
But then, like, a lot of it is. So again, I read a stat that of Tua's 40 attempts against the Falcons, something like 38. I think he completed 32, but 38 of the 40 attempts were in Dolphins players' hands. Again, same problems: drops, penalties. They completely killed the team. And me and Charlie spoke about the depth of this squad. It was deep. It was if we got injuries, we'd be fine.
I agree.
And yet we're also here, week 8, and it's like, okay, so Fuller's injured, Parker's injured, Williams is injured, so Tua is forward to Jalen Waddle, Isaiah Ford, and Matt Collins. Some things never ever change. Very quickly, last question from me. Trade deadline in a week. Do you see the Dolphins making any moves? Anyone coming in? Anyone leaving?
No, I don't see a point. Like Gesicki, guys of value are going to be locker room guys, and at that point, it's going to be an inferno. Like you are just going to send the message to everyone that we don't know what's going on. We don't know the direction. We don't know if we're rebuilding. We don't know. It would be chaos to me. And that's why there's no point in bringing anyone in. For what? To what? Win not as ugly? Like, it makes no sense. Obviously, everything just lies on Watson. Like, this Watson story is the end all be all. I don't see Dolphins doing anything. If anything, Parker. I will acknowledge if Parker's on the field. I like Parker. Yes, he had some drops. He hasn't played great. I stood up for Parker. I stood up for Howard. I will still stand up for Howard. And if Charlie was here, I was pissed when he roasted him after that Bucs game. That was wrong because that was the worst game I've ever seen him play. And if you're going to go run or chase Antonio Brown with these long crossing routes, that's set up. That's just a recipe for disaster. He wasn't getting burnt on 5 and 10 outs and fly patterns. Like, everyone got smoked that day. So he was that was some low hanging fruit, which was uncalled for. But yes, Parker, he just can't get on the field, and I'm over it. And Preston Williams, goodbye. Like, there's a lot of guys I want to say goodbye. I don't think teams are interested in it. That's the problem. So I'm willing to trade. We're going to get a 7th rounder for Preston Williams, maybe. I don't even see teams. I mean, who's going to want a contender wants Preston Williams? I don't see that. Right now, he's just not showing it. So I'm willing to trade, but the guys of real value on our team, I want to hang tight.
Yeah, there's guys like, like you mentioned, Parker. I still want to keep Williams around because he's so cheap. But the best ability is availability, and it's like, dude, if you can't stay healthy, then what's the point? Someone like Albert Wilson is just kind of kicking around at the moment. It's like I expected a lot from him, coming back. Hasn't happened. You can't trade X because you gave him a massive contract. So there's no point in doing that. No point in trading Byron Jones. And I think, if like Mike Gesicki is to me, he's owed a contract. He's not due one. He's owed a contract. You have to pay that guy now. If you don't pay him, if you trade him, again, that's when everyone just goes, dude, you've killed us, because he's one of the only players he's always available, always steps up in key situations, and he sounded like, to me, is he like a very low key guy? Like, that doesn't mean he's going to accept a pay cut per se, but he's one of the guys where it's like, if you get him on the table, we'll be like, dude, just put it off on the table and I'll sign it. Like, I'm good. He loved being in the building. To me, you have to extend him. Like, have to. I was if you're really going to go and get Watson, why would you give away someone who, is going to be amazing with him? I can imagine them letting Gesicki walk, him ending up in Green Bay with Rodgers, and those just having an absolute feast. And then Dolphin fans would be like, "Oh yeah, we should have signed him." It's like, well, yeah, you should have signed him.
Oh, but I think Kadeem, right there, you saying that, and I heard you say that on the last podcast, right? Why Rodgers? That Rodgers had that roster is not good, right? But they have Aaron Rodgers, and it just lifts everyone up. And then you just said Gesicki will light it up, and he's doing well right now. He's got some nice fantasy numbers, he's scoring some touchdowns, but why can't Tua light it up? Like, I mean, it's just when you say that, it makes sense to me, and it's just you're stating the obvious that Tua is a nice guy that can play in the NFL. He's going to, if hopefully he stays healthy, he's going to have a nice, decent, long career. The guy just isn't going to be in the Pro Bowl every year. The guy isn't going to be winning championships. And that's my thought on him. If you surround him, of course. If you give him Najee Harris and the great O-line and Waddle and this and Gesicki and the defense, it's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think the stars really, really have to align. And then, but if you bring in a talent like Watson or Wilson, hey, we don't know what's happening over there. I mean, I love Wilson. Love Wilson.
We all do. Like, yeah, talented.
So,
I think I didn't say this on the podcast. I didn't do it on purpose, but I'll learn on this. Two is a Woody. He's not a Sid, and sometimes you need a Sid.
I think going forward, man, I'm not gonna. There's gonna be nicknames coming. It might just be two. Woody. I don't know yet, but I don't think I'm gonna address him as Tua anymore. Let's just put it that way.
Dude,
poor guy, man. Nice guy. I hate to burn him, but he's burning himself when you dress up as Woody, man. I'm sorry. You are acceptable to jokes.
Listen, I love Woody. Like I was team Woody. I was team Woody over team Buzz. Buzz is too high gadget, all that kind of stuff. Like give me Woody. You know, just a nice guy. He's got his missus by his side, or you know the missus he wants. And, you know, just again, people are making jokes on social media. Like you know, there's a snake in his boots. Whoever this should like, be it Flores, be it Greer, be it Zach Steeler trying to get rid of him. Yeah, this is just gonna listen. This isn't going away after the trade deadline because while Watson is in Houston, there's always going to be talk of him, and I think that like the Eagles currently have 3 first-round picks in the top 10.
Yeah,
dude, go to Philadelphia. That's where the picks are.
No, and it's not even if Watson goes to Philly or Carolina. We're going to have Rodgers out there. We're going to have potentially Wilson. This story is not going to die until we either turn around and start winning games or Tua's out the door. Like it's that simple. Like it's going to continue as long as we're mediocre or below. And that's the nature of the beast. It really is. And I love Aaron Rodgers too. So I'm just saying, like, I know there's a lot of miles on that boy, but gosh, I mean, he's a star, man. He is a star. So this is the best drama, man. Sports.